So you look at who they have left. They have Joe Biden. The dude struggles, okay? He struggles. He's not going to be viable next. They couldn't do Hillary Clinton. There are no prominent Democratic figures. None. If Donald Trump wins, it's over for them. The establishment will be crushed.
You're talking about the military-industrial complex. So this is what I was thinking earlier. I think, like you were saying, Lydia, do we go back to what it was before?
Yeah,
and it's before America was the world police. I think, yeah, because I don't think having a world police, one country be the world police makes much sense anymore. It's too much pressure on the country. But if America were to stop being a world police, would China just fill that gap?
Yes. Well, for their own interests. That's the thing.
Yeah. Is there a way to globalize a world police so that no nation takes control?
No, thank you.
Yeah.
No, but there's mutually assured destruction. China doesn't want to go to war with us, and we're dangerously close as it is. So I think
conventional war. They're at war with us on every front, every angle right now. Anyway,
I think that one of the contributing factors as to why we're on the precipice of war is because of world policing.
Yeah, for sure.
We put
precipice of war with whom?
China.
No, we're already at war.
Oh, yeah, right.
We're already at war.
I mean conventional, full hot war.
That's that's done. That's not going to happen. We are currently engaged in a fourth generation warfare with China. They're pumping a country full of drugs the same way we pumped their country full of drugs in the last century. They're taking over infrastructure and trading routes all over the world. They're pumping us full of freaking propaganda. They're running TikTok and pushing the algorithm to corrupt our youth. They're helping these activists, these collectivist activists. They're helping on every front. We are at war, engaged,
and they're actually
100%
at
with
war
China
with
right
themselves because that Communist Party has co-opted the citizens. The citizens don't want to do that stuff, but this party,
but they do, and they're in the military, and they contribute.
Yeah, they control the military.
That's authoritarianism. But yes, we are in fourth generational.
And I believe that we need to be more explicit about that. One of the reasons I voted for Trump, and it's in the book, Democrat to the Plural. Did I mention that?
Yes.
You wrote that book. I wrote a book. I wrote a book.
So you wrote a book.
It's selling really well too. One of the things to talk about is changing the language in the conversation around China. Biden, for so many years, China, starting back with the WTO in the 90s, where we let them into the World Trade Organization, which was protested, by the way, by Antifa and Black Bloc, which is funny because they were anti-globalist at the time. We have started since then just giving our country away to the point now where in a pandemic, we didn't have all the supplies and we had risks of drugs running out and all kinds of bad things that are happening. And so we need to actually be saying China and the United States, this is an antagonistic relationship right now, and we need to be changing the energy there. And I think that has been accomplished.
Wasn't that was the battle in Seattle? I think it was.
Yeah.
That was the World Trade Organization protests. Leftists were shutting down streets in opposition to global trade policy.
Right.
Amazing how many of these people are now older and still part of the left, but in a complete inversion to what they once believed. And that's part of the problem I see. That not only did I feel used by the activists who were like, vote for Obama, end the war, and then he made it worse and they walked away. It's also them saying like, hey, look at all these things that are really bad and these trade policies, look what we're protesting. I'm like, great. And then years go by and they're like, oh, we flipped 180 on that one.
Dude, you want to talk about being used? Let's talk about Gen X. Gen X and race, okay? I'm 44 years old. I was raised by my culture and everyone around me just to not see color, not see gender, not see race. Sound like I was saying Nazi, right? Not see race, to not see any of these things and to judge people on the content of their character. And we did all that and we lived in that manner. And then you get to adulthood and what do they say now? Too bad, dude. You're a racist. White supremacy. Your color matters. Color matters. They used us, Gen X. They used us and we're bitter.
You know what triggers me a whole lot about these people? The progressives are the ones who fought for Loving v. Virginia, ending miscegenation laws. They have created generations of mixed race people for which they now essentially disavow as either bend the knee and be privileged or be white. So these people. I think, I was talking to someone about Robin DiAngelo's book where she says, I have no answer for how a mixed race person is supposed to function. I don't know her exact quote, but she basically just like shrugs it off. But in this woke world of like racial discrimination, like Ibram X. Kendi and Robin DiAngelo, they don't have a space for people of mixed race, that the progressives actually, created the laws which allowed these generations to flourish and exist. Now now the left is embracing these policies and ideas that essentially say, okay, all of one race here, all of one race here. Uh-oh, this one's both. What do we do? So that to me is particularly offensive. It's like you're the activists right now claiming you cared about these things. You cared about the dream of Martin Luther King Jr. And now you're holding up signs with his quotes on it while fighting against his dream.
Mm-hmm. I can fully support you, man, with the Gen X thing. I'm 41, and I basically caught the tail end of Gen X, raised with the exact same ideals. We are all the same. Yeah. Not identical, but, man, you look past what you see, and that's who we're unity, And then I went to Occupy Wall Street and was ready to talk about the Constitution, was told, we're not having any more white people speak. You can't speak to the news. We had too many white people.
So exactly
too many white people. I saw that written on a board at my last job that I got fired from when I got doxxed by Antifa and they fired me for being a Nazi.
You got canceled.
I got canceled. But while I was there, on the whiteboard, that was the note-taking for the Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity Committee, they wrote on the board, literally, too many white people working here.
How is that legal?
It's not. It's totally illegal. It's totally illegal. It's a violation. It's a hostile work environment. It's a violation of my civil rights. And when I spoke up about it, I get fired.
Oh my gosh.
And so now in California, as most people who are watching probably know, because I bring it up all the time,
Do it.
The Democrats are trying to repeal the civil rights passage in their Constitution, and they call it the affirmative action bill. So then when I try talking to people, they're like, but it's for affirmative action. I say, oh, can you point to the language in the bill that's for affirmative action? What do you mean? It says affirmative action. It's the title.
It's Antifa.
Oh, so if I make a bill called the Patriot Act, it's for being a patriot. Yeah, that whole part about locking people up indefinitely, and all that stuff. That's patriotism. That's exactly it. It's what's really remarkable about the modern left is the semantic tools they use to manipulate low information voters. We are anti-racist. Therefore, if you oppose us, you're a racist. Now, anti-racism holds the exact same tenets of racism, but the name is different. It's like we're anti-racist. We didn't say we're not. We just, just call it something else. Anti-fascism. Mm-hmm. Well, they're violent authoritarians, not technically fascist.
It's in the name.
It's clever.
I have a belief, this might be a little esoteric, but I think that the human mind is not logical. It's more emotional. So when you say a double negatives, they don't translate properly to the human mind.
Totally.
So if I say, don't be evil, they're hearing, don't be evil. And they're hearing be evil, even though I said don't before it. So when you're saying anti-fascist, you're putting out the fascist energy. And so it's making these people that way.
Well, they're fascistic. They're not fascist, right? And what that means is they use a lot of the same tactics and they hold many similar ideologies, but on core components, they're not fascist. Like they're not nationalists. They're not traditionalists.
What is fascism anyway, man? What is your definition of it? I thought it was corporate government collusion.
Yep.
So I think the official academic understanding of what fascism was ultra-nationalistic authoritarianism. And so that could also mean you want to take over the world, but your country is in charge of everyone else. So the main difference I see, and I could be wrong, I'm not a historian or anything. Here's the interesting thing about the communists and the fascists. They use the same symbolism, okay? When they raise the fist, have you noticed they raise the fist and they point their fingers at you? It's the fist symbol with the fingers facing you is a symbol of all the fingers together making a strong unit. The fist can punch, but individually the finger was weak. That's what what is it, fascist? Is that how you pronounce it?
Fascies.
Fascies. That's the weapon of all the sticks tied together with the blade in it. That individually they were weak, but together they were a strong weapon. They believe the same core tenets of banding together for power. The difference was fascist, at least today, neo-fascism, is traditionalist. Only, the men are the ones who work, the women are in the, raising the kids and in the house. And Antifa are fascistic in their techniques and everything, but they're ultra progressive. They believe year zero, culture revolution, abolish gender, abolish tradition, abolish religion.
Burn books.
So, but did they, the same black bloc people, the same Antifa people, did they believe that when they were promoting globalism or protesting against globalism in the 90s, WTO? I don't know. Do you think they have any actual real core values?
No, I think it's new people with the same title. Like the next generation, they just different people with different mindsets.
My mom sent me this video where there's a bunch of people sitting in a dentist's office, and they're all actors. A woman comes in for her appointment and sits down, and then a bell chimes, and everyone stands up, and she looks around all confused. Then everyone sits down right away. Then she goes back, bell chimes again. Everyone stands up. She looks confused. Eventually, she just stands up too. All of a sudden, she's standing up and sitting down every time a bell rings. One by one, the actors leave. And then all that's left is her. Bell chimes, she stands up, sits down. New guy comes in, an actual patient, sits down and sees her standing up and sitting down. And he goes, what are you doing? And she's like, we're supposed to do it. Everyone's doing it. And he's like, oh. So he starts standing up too. Then one by one, new people come in for their appointments. And then all of a sudden, everyone is standing up and sitting down, having no idea why they did it.
Amazing.
It just transferred over. I think what we see with the left and Antifa is it is a chaotic, destructive force with no principle and no plan. It is just the embodiment of rage. So that's why they oppose the World Trade Organization, and then now they're in favor of the World Trade Organization, I guess.
It's collectivist. I think this is something, gosh, I don't remember.
It's a swarm of
Griffin
wasps.
was talking about it, like individualism versus collectivism, and that's really where we're at right now. Fascists and communists are collectivist.
Yes.
You know, you could say
and Jordan Peterson talks about this.
Yeah, so the collectivism, it could be, I don't know if it's just dangerous in general.
I think it is. Because I think that individualism makes people strong, because when you have individualism, you have personal responsibility. When you start to lose individualism, you lose personal responsibility, and you lose, like, maybe this comes down to people not experiencing the effects of their own actions, like not being disciplined maybe when they're growing up. I don't know if that's cause or effect, but I think that the individualism is so strongly tied to personal responsibility. You can see a culture start to crumble when you start to lose individualism. That's just my 2 cents.
It's a bunch of Antifa is a bunch of kids who have been given everything whenever they cried about it, so they're crying about it, trying to get it. I think it's funny, you know, these college kids. People talk about how colleges are indoctrinating, you know, young people, and I'm like, it's not in the way you think it is. Like, certainly there are professors that are ridiculously woke and, you know, woke walkers or whatever you want to call them, but a lot of what indoctrinates them is just the fact that they wake up, they're told what to do, and when they complain, they're given whatever they want. Then they graduate, and there's no longer so they're kids, and they're like, I want you to imagine now, you know, a 38-year-old woman with an 8-year-old kid, and she's standing in the ice cream shop, and the kid's screaming and pounding his feet, saying, "I want 2 scoops!" Ah! And then she's like, "Okay, please, 2 scoops quickly. He's yelling at me. Oh, my ears!" And she gives the kid what he wants. That kid grows up, goes to college. Now you see it with that video like Nick Christakis. Remember that? He's at Halloween, and they're screaming like, no matter what he says, they're just like, "Shut up!" Ah! That's the same kid grown up now, whose parents just said, "Whatever you want, dear." Oh, they're yelling in my ears.
It's a lack of masculine energy in the world.
I think that's it.
And now what we end up getting is even these professors who are respectable are not being tough. Like, when a professor gets surrounded and they're screaming at him, he goes, okay, I'm listening, I hear what you're saying. Instead of being like, F you, shut up, get out of my face.
And this is because the doctrines infiltrated the top levels of the organizations and will fire those professors if they stand up to the weakness.
Because people are more concerned about getting that quick buck than what's right. That's another big problem. You know, I love it when people are like, I have a problem with capitalism. Like, you know, I got to say, there is an issue when people are like, I will sell out my principles as long as I get paid at the end of the day.
For money.
So that's not an issue of capitalism, though. It's an issue of no shared values and morals.
Mic drop. You
Agreed,
lean back.
yeah,
after that.
definitely, yeah.
Can you look up the Mike Tyson quote?
Right, exactly. I mean, the thing about it is we can see everywhere that there's a failure of masculine leadership. There's a failure of family. There's a failure of strong community, of discipline, of leadership, of accountability. And the definition of collectivism really is that it's shared responsibility. And when you have shared responsibility, then no one has any responsibility. It's when you have individual responsibility, that's when you can collectively have responsibility. It trickles up from the individual. I heard a quote, maybe it was Nassim Taleb, and he said that he is like a communist at home. And he is like a socialist in his community, and then he is a libertarian in the for his political views.
Interesting.
And that is the way it is at home, right? I mean, dude, I work, daddy works, daddy pays, daddy provides. I'm happy to share. It's easy peasy according for me, according to my ability, to them according to their needs.
Kids, yeah.
Right. But I don't want to see that kind of crap at the federal level.
Right.
No way.
Level, yeah.
I got this quote.
Oh, yeah.
I'm assuming it's real. This is from World Boxing News. Social media made you all way too comfortable with disrespecting people and not getting punched in the face for it.
Definitely.
Mike Tyson. I don't know if that's a real quote or whatever. I saw it going around. It sounds like he said it.
I mean, it's even in a Taylor Swift song.
That means
which
true.
one?
Right. Not this last album, but the one that came out before, where it's like something about tweets in the streets. It's a knockout. Just like saying like she gets a lot of harassment right online and stuff, and she sees it. And I felt it when I heard that song for the first time because I get some hate out there.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that it's the same phenomenon when you're in your car, right? Like when you're in your car and you're in traffic and you're willing to like bully somebody with your car, cut them off and give them the finger. It's because you're insulated from real life, right? Let me tell you something. When I am standing in line to get into somewhere, I'm 6'4", 250. How many people walk up and cut in front of me?
Zero.
Probably none.
But people will elbow their way in within their cars and then they get mad at you, right? It's like when people are detached from the outcomes of their actions, like Antifa has been, they just go buck wild.
Have you ever seen the viral video where there's like a fence and the two dogs are yelling at each other and barking, and then the fence starts opening? It's like a gate, slides. And then once it opens, the dogs just stop and like slowly turn around and walk away. Like, oh no, now I got to be accountable for my actions.
Yeah.
So this lack of masculine energy is directly linked to the era of social media.
I think it emphasizes it, but the attack on masculinity has been ongoing since the 60s.
What's the why? What caused it, or what brought it on?
Well, it was when feminism decided that they needed to wrench the power from the patriarchy, and all societies are patriarchal. All patriarchies are oppressive, and if you are to end oppression, you must end the patriarchy. And what is the source of patriarchy's power? Masculine energy. So you have to attack it at the source. So it's very logical if they want to do this.
You see that viral TikTok where it's like this chick is putting on makeup and getting ready for school, and she's like, y'all women in the 60s wanted me to be independent. I don't want to be independent. And then she starts yelling, I want to be a housewife. I want to make dinner for my husband, but now I have to go to school. And then she like storms off. It's actually really funny.
It's funny.
True.
It's true. It's sad. The worst thing that happened with feminism is that they decided that the ideal woman looked like the ideal man.
Ugh.
Right.
Instead of saying what the ideal woman should look like. We should have championed femininity.
I've been saying this for a long time. Feminism is destroying femininity.
Yes.
Because it's championing masculine concepts for women. So you take a look at Captain Marvel. They're like, okay, we're going to make a superhero movie that's traditionally a male role, but women should do it too.
Oh.
Well, sure, but what you're basically saying is the ideal man is paramount, is peak humanity, right? The point is, if you have a movie where a guy is a superhero and he's saving the day, and then your response is women should be like the man instead of the man should be like the woman, you're basically saying the men is what we should all strive, the masculine is what we should all strive to be. But then the problem is, it comes down to, it's not, how do I phrase this?
It disinherits women.
Well, they're attacking men, right? Because they're trying to prop women up in masculine roles, which creates, which destroys both.
Right.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
Exactly right. Exactly right. By saying that the ideal woman is a man, then in order to get women into those positions, you have to degrade the existing men. You have to degrade the existing system in order to make space. Now, this is echoed in critical race theory when it comes to race. If you've seen these bubbles that are like, oh, this is when you're an early, like a tadpole of a anti-racist, and then when you get to your fully developed anti-racist self, it says specifically, and this was in the Smithsonian published, says, white people yield positions of power to people of color.
Amazing.
Detail, specific, actual call out. Okay. It's the same concept. It's like we need to get these people out of power so that we can take the power.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.